Hi, everybody. Joined today once again by my partner, Debbie Stanley with Estate Transition Planners Canada. We are doing video number 2 of common estate oversights. These are things that we see come up often in our estate wellness checkups. Our estate wellness checkups are a meeting we do with our clients, often lasting 2 hours, sometimes more, where we take a look at the entirety of what will be their estate. So this includes their will, their power of attorney documents, assets, businesses, property, rental properties, as well as funeral and cemetery wishes also. We kind of take an overview approach of this, look at everything, play out with them how it'll all look through an estate. Our point of view comes as executors, as professional executors, so we can provide some insight into how everything will work out for their executor. One of the things we see come up often is power of attorney issues. Most people we meet with either have a will. It may not be up to date, but they're aware of what a will is, of course, or have a will. A handful of these people, and quite a few actually, aren't quite aware of what the power of attorney is or even know what that is. So we thought today we'd have Debbie talk a bit about the power of attorney document and why it's so important, especially in a time like this where people are starting to think of their estate, their will, but maybe not thinking about what happens if I'm unable to make some important decisions. So Debbie, fill everyone in on what we're talking about today.
So that's right. So we have power of attorney documents that sometimes get pushed to the side because they are so focused on their estate planning and their will. There are 2 power of attorneys. One is power of attorney for personal care, which deals with your healthcare wishes and directions. And then you have your power of attorney for property, which deals with finances. Both of these are for when you are still alive but unable or incapable to do so, to do any of the items or make any of these decisions. Today we're going to talk about the power of attorney for personal care in light of everything that's happening. This document to me is one of the most important documents. I feel that the conversation is really not being had with our family and our person that we're choosing to make these decisions. No one wants to make the decision to end someone's life. That's a very heavy thing to be discussing, of course, but what a power of attorney or a substitute decision maker, that's what they're called in the healthcare industry, wants to do is carry out your wishes. So they don't want to make the decision, they want to carry out what you would like done. It's really hard to bring up this topic. I completely understand. I've tried it myself. It's really difficult to just be like, hey, let's talk about these wishes.
Yeah.
But it's so important because most of the time, even our own spouses don't totally know what that wish would be at that time. So what we're here to do is to encourage that conversation, to give you a few tidbits on how to bring these items up. So first of all, I want to touch on what happens if you don't have this particular power of attorney in place. Now in Ontario, you still have a substitute decision maker in the absence of a power of attorney document. John, would you mind throwing up that chart?
Sure.
So in absence of a power of attorney for personal care, there is a chart of people that are in line to be your substitute decision maker. If we look at the yellow section, those are your legally appointed substitute decision makers. So those come from those documents. So there's a court-appointed guardian, your attorney for personal care, and a representative appointed from the Consent and Capacity Board. From there, if you don't have a power of attorney document or the other 2 in the yellow section, it goes in order of this arrow. So the first is the spouse or a partner, then it's parents. It actually should say and children. It hasn't been updated for a little while, but parents and children can be 16 years old. So that can be an eye opener when maybe you do have a 16-year-old, right? That's a heavy thing for a 16-year-old to be deciding. Then parent of right with right of access only, siblings. If you're like my dad, he has 14 of them. So can you imagine the chaos that would be in a hospital? Yeah. Luckily, my dad does have a power of attorney. and any other relatives. They will try and find cousins, distant family members, anyone. And as a last resort, the public guardian and trustee would make your decision. So hopefully that is helpful. So if you don't have one, you are not left without someone who can make these decisions. But maybe when you look at this chart, the person that would be next in line is not exactly the person you would want to appoint. So that's where it's really helpful to have our documents in place, because you are choosing who you would like to be making these decisions.
Right.
So from there, how do we start this conversation? How do we decide who should be our attorney for personal care in that document, or our substitute decision maker? First of all, I'd start thinking about, who am I comfortable talking to about these things? Most commonly, it's a spouse. We chose our spouse for a reason. We tend to like them and share our secrets. So that's a good one. But in absence of that, who else are you comfortable having this conversation with? Would this person respect and follow your wishes? So if you want a particular care directive, the person that you're appointing, will they actually follow through with that? Or would they say, oh no, I don't agree with that, I would never actually do it? Would this person be comfortable to speak with you about these topics? Sometimes we want to bring it up, but the other person is like, no, not now, no, we don't want to jinx things.
Right.
Still have to have the conversation. And also, is the person you're choosing going to be able to do that at that time of need? Will they be really emotional about it? Will they be able to come at it with a pragmatic view? How will they handle that particular situation? If we go back to the 16-year-old child, is that a great spot to be putting our kid in when they're already dealing with a really difficult time? Then on top of it, what you would want to consider is your values and what are important to you. So it's not about those cold facts when we think about the hospital and the wires and the tubes. It's about what's important to you. Nature, is it important that you get outside? Is it important that you have relationships with other people still? Would you like to be in a home where you can be a part of a bingo pool? Just those are the values that you would really like to touch upon.
Great.
Hopefully that helps and gets you thinking about these important topics.
Yeah, I think it's an important topic for people to think about. And you're right, people don't always want to think about these things. It's easy to get an answer from most people about where they want their money to go, because that's just kind of a math thing. But when talking about what kind of personal care you want, if you're unable to make those decisions, it's much harder for people to think about that or have that discussion. So it's important to know about, to talk about, and one of the things that we like to help kind of start the conversation on when we're meeting with clients.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. See you next time.
Bye.